Come on, let's go. I got things to say tonight. I'm ready to hop on the panel. You better have subscribed already. If you haven't hit that subscribe button and smash the like by now, what are you waiting for? You gotta support the den, people.
Hit that notification bell too, unless you want to miss out and hear about it later.
This is the show you don't want to miss. Every week I'm here waiting. The energy, the conversations, it's about to get real.
Tick tock, I swear this is the longest minute of my life.
Tick tock, tick tock. The panel tonight's gonna be fire. I can feel it. Who's joining tonight? Let's go. Hit that subscribe button already.
Yo, grab your popcorn, grab your drink. It's about to go down. You're not ready for what's coming. I got my snacks, my drink,
And I'm locked in.
Let's get this show started.
All right. Quiet down. The show's about to start. Everyone ready?
Silence. The Lion's Den is about to begin. Let's go.
All right, folks, buckle up and get ready because tonight is the night. It's about to get real. It's about to get raw and it's about to get therapeutic. You know what time it is? It's the evening therapy session brought to you by the Fearless Podcast and co-hosted by the one and only Ronin Travelers. You already know when these two legends get together, it's nothing short of electrifying. Expect excitement, information, fun, and yes, blunt, unfiltered truths. But wait, hold up. We're bringing in a heavy hitter tonight, folks. Joining us live from Atlanta, Georgia, we have a true Southern belle who's got the brains and the credentials to shake things up. She's got a master's degree in therapy and she's an expert when it comes to relationships and mental health. So if the dating scene has you confused, upside down, and sideways, you're in the right place tonight. We're diving deep into the psychology of love, dating, and everything in between. This is your chance to hear it all from a female therapist's point of view, what's really going on inside everyone's head. But don't get too comfortable yet because she's about to introduce herself in a one-on-one interview with Fearless and Ronin. And trust me, you don't want to miss the special guest joining later on. So grab your popcorn, grab your drink, and get ready to take notes. Tune in live, and let's get into this conversation that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even change the way you look at relationships forever. That's tonight, only on the Fearless Podcast, co-hosted by Ronin Travelers. Get ready because this is one therapy session you won't forget.
Are you crazy? Oh, we're about to find out. So I talk to people every day. I know Ronin is in the background. I got therapists in the background. And it seems like sometimes we're in an echo chamber. We talk to a lot of men. And tonight, I wanted to bring on a woman and get something from a female perspective. Not only just a woman, but a therapist. She talks to women every day. She's going to tell us the ins and outs, the good, the bad. Why are y'all single? Why is there a problem? Especially with the Black community. Why is there a problem with women? Or is it men? Why do you need therapy? Are you crazy? Yeah, you just might be. But let's go ahead and bring her up with no hesitation to the front y'all.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, beautiful?
I'm good.
What's
How are
going
you?
on with you? Oh, we doing fantastic.
All
So
right.
before we get started, I want to know a little bit about your background, your qualifications, what you do on a daily basis, and then we can get started.
All in my business. All right. So I've been a therapist for over 15 years now. Previously, I was a school teacher and worked at a school where I put programs in place for after school kids. So right now, my primary focus is therapy and I enjoy it. I work with men, women, couples counseling. For a time, I did work with children, but right now I focus on the adults.
Okay. So do you mainly focus on, is it women's relationships, men, or just in general? Who is your main clients that you speak to?
I have a very diverse population of men, women, and individuals from all different backgrounds. So I have scaled back on the marriage counseling and more so focus on couples entering into new relationships or thinking about getting married. So I wouldn't necessarily say premarital counseling, but just really trying to understand whether or not a couple is truly compatible.
Ooh, a lot of them not. A lot of them not. No, we can't talk about specific relationships, but I do want to get into it. I want to know, and I can only tell you from my perspective, because what I found is there's a lot of times that women they have this expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get into that, why they have this certain expectation, but we won't get into it now. Let's start a little bit. First, why is there a stigma for people getting therapy? I want to know that. Why is it
Well,
that people, especially people of color, don't want to get therapy?
well, my hope is that since the pandemic, that stigma has gone away. We have, primarily I'm based at home now because of the pandemic. And a lot of people who would have never come into therapy are willing to do therapy, whether it was having to travel, whether it was anxiety, whatever. We're definitely seeing an uptick in people actually coming into therapy. So my hope is that the stigma is starting to go away. However, when you have individuals who suffer from severe mental health issues and they are thrown all over the TV screen as to say this is the face of bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, it scares people away from not only going into therapy and people finding out, but it also scares people away from being diagnosed. People are afraid of having a diagnosis of bipolar. People are afraid of having a diagnosis of anxiety or being referred for psychiatric evaluation for medication. There's nothing wrong with it. However, because you have people in the media, and I'm going to say primary celebrities who are out there undiagnosed or untreated, it puts a negative connotation on what mental illness looks like. Bipolar disorder from one person may not look the same for the next person. Depression for one person may not look the same for the next person. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter. The goal is for people to get into treatment that need it. So again, I hope that the stigma is starting to fade from that.
Well, there's a lot of stigmas out there. One stigma that I do want to talk about is Black women. So I know that I've talked to people, women in general, of other races that have gone to therapy, and they say, oh, this is great. I've talked to my therapist. I've done that. But it seems that when I've talked to Black women about it, there's a pushback, almost like she don't know what she's talking about. How's she going to tell me what? It becomes this battle, like a power battle, like almost what you're telling that person is just not the great information. Like they don't want to just sit down and accept it. It becomes confrontational. Do you find that to be true?
I do, but I think with anything, anytime you're told that you need something, your defenses are gonna go up. So rather than it being a conversation, most times when people are told that they need therapy, it's in the midst of an argument. It's used to be hurtful. You need help. You need to talk to somebody. Something's wrong with you. You're not going to get a positive response when you bring up something that serious in the midst of a heated argument and you're using it to be hurtful. The time to have those conversations are when you're having a good moment and you're having a time where you're really connecting with your partner or a friend or loved one, whatever. A time when things are good where you say, no, I've noticed that you struggled in the past. Have you thought about talking to somebody? Therapy should never be brought up in the midst of an argument. It should never be brought up when a woman is feeling defensive or scared or vulnerable. That's the last thing that men want to do. So my guess is if you are bringing up therapy, if a man brings up therapy, chances are it's not being brought up in the most loving way. It's not being brought up in a caring manner to where the woman can be receptive. Okay, I do need to talk to somebody. I am recognizing that I'm aggressive, or I'm not dealing with stress well, or I'm having a hard time being motivated. You're going to get pushback if you're bringing it up where a woman is already feeling scared or, like I said, vulnerable. Bring it up in a way where a woman feels like, number one, she's going to be heard, and number two, that you're bringing it up in a caring manner.
I want to play this clip. I want you to comment on it, and it's going to lead to a few other questions. So bear with me.
We know that African Americans report psychological distress more than our white counterparts. However, we do not seek help in the same way. The studies are something like a quarter of African Americans versus 40% of white counterparts who will seek therapy. And part of this sort of stigma and this shame in our culture, in our community, going to see a therapist is, or being assessed is a sign of weakness. Specifically for, African-American females, we carry this cape of being the superwoman. So if we are superwomen, then we cannot be weak at the same time. Therefore, that leaves an environment for us to not be vulnerable. So therefore, we continue to sort of hold that pain.
It's hard for me to understand how we got to a place as a Black people that we turn our nose up or frown upon therapy. And I think we're the people that need it the most. Very important for me to take care of my mental health because there's enough outside forces that are trying to beat me down mentally, that are trying to affect the way that I see myself. And why would you take more care of your body than you take care of your mind?
We know that African Americans report.
So I got a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
They get the BBLs, they get the breast implants, they get the fat reduction, they get the mommy makeover. But they don't go nowhere to get that mental check. Why is that? Why is a woman will do everything with their exterior, but when you say, maybe you got a problem, why is that a problem?
It's scary. And when you're talking about cosmetic surgery, those are all very surface. Yes, it cuts the skin, but it's very surface. These are quick fixes to deal with whatever may be going on. And some of these quick fixes do help with the self-esteem, but there's always a deeper issue. And to sit down and open up to a stranger and to start talking about the things that you've tried for several years to push down, it's very scary. And to acknowledge that, okay, I need help. And the psychiatrist who just spoke, dead on. We are told from very early on, you don't leave the house talking about our business. And I want to point something out. It's not just African Americans, it's minorities. I have worked with, or still have, a huge Hispanic population. I have a huge Indian population, which I did not have ever until the past 2 years. And then my minorities are really stepping up to the plate. Minority Black men and women are coming into therapy more, and recognizing that not talking to somebody, that's the part that makes you weak. It's not holding it in and trying to push through and go to work every day and you've got all these stressors. That's what's breaking you down. To sit down and talk about what's hurting and what's scaring you and with the daily stressors that minorities have to deal with on a regular basis. Those are the things that we got to talk about. Those are the things that are going to make us stronger. How do we deal with the daily stressors? What are the coping strategies that help me get from point A to point B? So it's scary, it's deep, and it's not a quick fix. Therapy is not a quick fix. I've got clients who are in therapy for as short as 3 months to clients who've been in therapy for 5+ years. It's not something that happens overnight, and you have to be willing, number one, to do the homework, but then number one, to open up, number two, to do the work.
2 questions on that. Why? I know you said maybe it's more difficult to open up to a stranger, but it seemed like some women would open up to you faster than they would open up to their mate. That's one. And do you think in the Black community, we have a lot of trauma bonding? So, they get with people, and I've been in relationships. I don't know, maybe you have been in relationships where when it's calm, it's like something's wrong. It's only happy when there's chaos.
So recently that word trauma bonding is I'm hearing it more and more. And yes, unfortunately, I do think and I'm going to focus on the Black community because I'm Black. I like to talk about all minorities because everybody can benefit from counseling. Black, white, purple, green, whatever. Everybody can benefit from therapy, men and women. But when it comes to Black people in general, I think that I think it's easier. Well, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. So the first question was what?
The first question was, why is it that a woman can open up to you faster than they can open up to a man. And when I say open up, there's women, that'll talk more, they'll talk less about their income than about their sexual partners.
Hmm.
Or they can talk to you about things that they never talk to brothers about. So why is that? That's one. And when I say trauma bond, I've come to notice that there are women say they were in a domestic violence situation and they say, I don't want to be with this. I hate, I don't like to be hit. And then the next relationship they get in is a dude who's hitting. The next relationship they get in is a guy who's hitting or abusive or whatever they ran away to, they run toward. Why? So that's what I consider the trauma bond.
Okay. And you're right. So the first question, opening up to a therapist. Number one, the therapist has no clue what this person has dealt with. They don't know anything about their past. They're not passing judgment, or at least they shouldn't be passing judgment. And it's a fresh pair of eyes versus talking to a girlfriend about a relationship that the girlfriend has told you 20 times to get out of. You're coming into therapy talking about a relationship. The therapist has no clue what the background is, no idea what the trauma or the red flags may have been, whatever. So the perspective is fresh, unbiased, non-judgmental. Whereas when you're dealing with a partner, you're scared to be judged. You're scared to be vulnerable, and say 3 months down the road, an argument pops up and now that vulnerability is being used against you. See it all the time. I hear it all the time in therapy. So there's a lot of women and men entering into relationships and they flat out don't trust anybody. You cannot have a healthy relationship when you don't trust each other. And I'm talking about bare minimum. I'm talking about when it comes down to bare bones, talking about finances. What's your credit score? I'm not telling you that. That's none of your business.
That's right.
So when you can't even get to talking about, okay, well, how much do you make? Well, I can Google it and have a ballpark figure of how much you make, but these are the basic conversations that people do not have in relationships. So how in the world can we go any deeper when we can't even talk about what's obvious? If you're living in an apartment that's $12,000 or $1,200 a month, and you're driving a car that you paid $500 for, my guess is you're probably not doing okay, or you're doing pretty well and you're stashing money away for a rainy day. But why can't we have these conversations? So we can't start.
I think men are always having that conversation. What's the first question a woman asks a man? Where do you work? And it's not to get to know where you work at. They're putting where you work and your position as monetary status. So that's it. And we have a question. This is from Ray Money. Shout out to Ray Money with the $10 chat. Super chat here. Ray Money says this, and I have a question about this. He says, when is therapy over? And I say that because I played a tape for you when I was there of a woman that was a little controversial. And she had said she'd been in therapy 5 years. And we were like, man, if this is 5 years of therapy, we don't want to see year one. So that's the problem. So when is therapy over? Do these therapists keep you in therapy for years, to milk that money? And he says, women don't need therapy. They need reality. Modern women tend to live in delusion.
And
So
I cannot agree with him. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention other podcasters or on here.
Sure.
Okay.
The competition, they can't compete us. You know how we do it.
Well, so I love Ray. First of all, yes, that's a great question. When is therapy over? Well, first of all, when you come into therapy, your intake process, number one, needs to be discussing your history. But number two, you and your therapist need to identify what are the goals. And those goals need to be reevaluated, every few weeks or every couple of months or so, depending on what's going on, to say, okay, are we making progress? So I will say this, a person can be in therapy for 5 years, okay? Because there's people who have a lot of trauma. However, if you're in therapy talking about the same thing year after year, then chances are either therapy's not for you or you need to find a different therapist. There's so many different types of therapy out there. So I would never put a time frame on how long a person needs therapy. Now, if you're dealing with some work stress, then do you need to be in therapy for 10 years? No. It's not realistic. But if you're dealing with some deep, serious family trauma, whatever, PTSD, being at war, seeing a natural disaster, being in a natural, whatever, yes, that's going to take more than a couple of years. It's going to take some time to work through some things. So there should not necessarily be you shouldn't go into therapy thinking, okay, this is going to take 3 months. Just go in there recognizing that you need to have goals. And if you're not reaching those goals, then it's probably time to either have that conversation with your therapist or it's time to move on to another therapist. And then these therapists keep you in. They can keep you in for years, and that it's not ethical. Number one, if you're not getting better, there's an issue there. And women do need therapy, and I think men need therapy as well. But when I tell you, I love that you said they need a reality check. Modern women tend to live in delusion. So I watched Kendra G. I started watching Kendra G last year, and I will say I started watching Samuel's guy, the one who passed away. I had never seen this before. I had just happened upon it. And some of the women that come on Kendra G, and I love Kendra G just because she's so blunt and she tries to pull these women out of their delusions. And sometimes it's just not successful, but I like the fact that she calls it out. But I just think there's not the conversations that I had growing up, the things that my mom showed me. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I know how to sew. I know how to garden. I know how to do all of those things. I'm not saying that those things don't happen anymore, but you just don't see it as often. Social media and all the things that have happened over the past 20 years, a lot of the things that we learned growing up, back in, I'm not going to tell my age, but way back when, you don't talk about it anymore. I've got nieces and older cousins that don't know how to cook at all. They just weren't taught those things. So that's unfortunate. They're the bare minimum, and I'm never going to say that a woman belongs in the kitchen, but a woman should be able to take care of herself. I'll make it. Wait, no. What I was saying is, I'm never going to say a woman belongs in the kitchen. I'm simply saying that a woman.
I'm not saying that they don't, but we get a lot of feminists on here to say what kind of woman do you want? A woman shouldn't have to learn how to cook. We get that. And what has happened is a lot of men have started traveling overseas because they don't get that traditional woman. They don't get that type of woman anymore. And it becomes, all right, I'm going to play this video because when he says they need to live in reality and women tend to live in delusion, this is what we're referring to.
Okay.
And give me some time here. Let's see, where was that one at? Oh, here we go.
Like recently I matched with a doctor on a dating app, and I was just like, I said, what do you do? He's like, I'm a doctor. And he was just like, I was like, okay, so what's your goals? He was just like, oh no, I kind of blocked you because like, what do you mean what's my goals? Is a doctor not enough? I don't want somebody who's content with where they are. Being a doctor is amazing. I understand what you guys go through to get there, but why can't you want more? I guess me having 3 jobs shows you that I'm never comfortable with being in one place.
Child, not being he need to run for the president. He'd already a surgeon, and that ain't enough for you.
It's not a money thing more, so I guess it's an ambition thing.
So now being a doctor isn't good enough.
It's not ambitious.
And this is what I can't understand. When he says you live in delusion, this delusion we talking about. A man that spent 4 years in undergrad, 4 years in medical school, and another 4 years in residency. He spent 12 years of his life getting somewhere. Now he said 12 years, and she like, all you all is a doctor? I mean, that's it? What else do y'all want, man? And I can't say I got to talk about race. I really don't hear this from white people. I hear this from sisters where they don't have a pot to piss in, but they expect you to have everything. Where's this delusion coming from?
So yes, I do hear this, but I can't speak for all. I can't speak for all Black women. I can't speak for women. I
Yeah.
can't. All women. But I will say that I do think that there is some misalignment going on. And unfortunately I keep going back to social media because everything's the reality checks seem to be coming far and few between when it comes to what a woman is bringing to a relationship versus what a man is bringing to a relationship, or what a man is expected to bring to a relationship. I think it's very unfair. Again, referring back to Kendra G, because that's my only barometer right now of seeing these dating things, is Kendra G. But coming on, and you've got women who I'm trying to buffer my words a bit because at the end of the day, I have a business to run. But I will say, when you have a woman coming in and she hasn't achieved much past graduating high school, she's got multiple children, just hasn't achieved much, but then she's putting out there that she wants a man that makes 6 figures, 6 feet tall, 6 inches, all the things that I hear on that show. It make sense. First of all, why are we putting height requirements and income requirements on love? When did that happen? Why are we not out? Why are we not out just simply looking for, who am I compatible with? Who do I have fun with? Who matches the things that I want in life? Those conversations don't seem to be happening as much. Now, I will say that, people who are coming into therapy, they are running into the challenges of dating, and the fact that, men who are wanting to date, they don't go out to the clubs. They're at home, working from home, making money. They're not out there with making connections face to face anymore. So the dating scene has changed. But going back to what Ray Money said, the delusion is real. And sometimes I'm like, are they trying to be funny? Like, sometimes I know Kendra G says, like, are you trolling me right now? Because the things that they're saying, it just doesn't make sense. You're not bringing anything to the table, but you're asking for this Adonis to come out of the woodwork with millions to support you. And I don't understand it. And then
when you meet that woman, and that woman comes into therapy, and she's saying, because this is what Kevin Samuel said, when you ask a woman what she wants in a man, she can write the Bible. When you ask her what she brings to the table, you can fit that on a postage stamp. So when you meet that woman that says, I need all these requirements and I have nothing, and you try to, when you're like this, what did she say? What is her response back? And I want to get a shout out to How to Be Happy. He's also a life coach and a great thing. Hopefully he'll come up after. We're going to have a question session after, and I have a question from him when you answer this. So he's giving a great donation. How to Be Happy. He's going to have a question here in a moment. But with that question, what do you say? Because they don't listen to us.
Well, so I will say, the women who are on that level of delusion, unfortunately, they haven't come into therapy. So I haven't had to address this type of situation in therapy. But I know it exists, that I see the podcasts and the talk shows and the things of that nature, where people are putting this out there as this is, number one, attainable, and number two, that this is reality. This isn't reality. What I will say, that the women who are out there who are able to check these boxes that are aligned with a man who is making 6 figures and this, that, and the other, they're not out there asking for it. Those type of men are in their circle. They don't need to ask for it. And that's something that Kendra G says a lot, is that, date within your circle. if you've never dated a man that makes six figures, if you've never dated a man that has a college degree, or is living on a resort, then why do you think that this is something that you deserve? Date in your circle. And I don't think it's a put down, and I think some women do take it as a put down. It's reality. Date within your reality.
But not only that, I understand what you're saying. And this is going to lead to my question with Ray Money. He got another $5 super chat. You said date in your circle. Why is it that a lot of women, because I can't say black women, I say, well, no, I'm going to say black women on this one. Why is it that they want to meet you at the finish line? They don't want to build with you. They don't want to help you with any structure. But, it's like, hey, I want him when he's at six figures. They don't want him when he's at three figures. But when I make that six figures and divorce, you want half my stuff. You want all the kids, but you didn't help me build it. And to go back to that, I think we spoke and it has to become racial. Every NFL draft, every NBA draft, you see the snow bunny, the white lady that's sitting right next to that man, smiling on her face because she knew what it did, what got him there. And I won't give our history, but you and I attended the same college.
Oh yeah.
We used to be in the same dorm, and we used to see on Friday night or Saturday night, whatever time that basketball team would play, you see them white girls with their Papa John pizza coming to the dorm room, taking care of them dudes. And those same dudes went where? They went professional. We won't even say where they went. They were professional players making millions, and all it cost them girls was a Papa John's pizza. Why is it that black women don't do that?
Well, so I think in all fairness,
why won't we build with you? And Todd Allen, I do see you in the background, brother. I got a few more questions for this young lady. We're going to bring people up to ask her questions herself. Go ahead.
Okay. Leslie. So I'm going to say this because I'm feeling a little sensitive because we are making the blanket statement of black women. Not all black women think that way. And not all athletes are married to white women. And if they are, so be it. But I also think it's our exposure. If you're not exposed to, okay, what does it take to be supportive of a man, then you don't know how to do that. You don't know how to be with the man at the bottom and support him and do what you need to do to get him to the top. And I'm not going to talk about, it's not all women. But I was not raised in a situation where I watched my mom stand by my dad and he was working his way up to the top and, whatever. I was raised by my mother who worked her way up to the top and never had a man in the house outside of my father. So that's what I was exposed to. So I wasn't taught how to be supportive and what that looked like. So in all fairness to women, we have to think about the fact that there's so many women out there who were raised by single mothers. So you don't have it modeled in the home of what support looks like. You don't. So I think it's unfair to say, why are women like this? When a huge answer to that question is you've got a lot of women out there who were raised by single moms.
But here's the thing. I know you. Even though you're raised by a single mom, you cook, you clean, you traditional, you supportive. You just have that nature about you. So why is it that you could say, hey, that's the skills that I needed to be a woman or to be a good wife and others can't? And this leads into the question with Ray Money, because a lot of times it says cooking and cleaning are basic adult skills.
You just said
I blame single motherhood for this. Single mothers raise single mothers. Society has failed girls. And he also says, it's not love, it's transactional. What say you about that? Because you're not that person who did that, but we see a lot of it. And there's examples of men who women got him in the beginning. LeBron James, his wife got him, when he was young, and she benefits from it. But why as a society in general? Because LeBron James is the exception, not the rule. So when I say in general, that's usually what I see. So why is that?
So, okay.
I know I'm getting you
like,
difficult questions.
well, I want to say this because I think it's also the environment that you're raised in. And growing up, although I was raised by a single mom, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of pushback, so I will never read the comments. I was raised in all white neighborhoods growing up. So all I ever saw were dual income families. And, or you had the wife who was at home taking care of the children and supporting her husband. So that's what I was raised around. So even though I was raised by a single mom, my mother's job afforded us the opportunity to be raised middle class. I mean, you're familiar with my upbringing. So well, I'm sorry.
He was in the suburbs. He was in the burbs.
So I saw a different side than, some of my, as I got older, some of my peers who were raised in single parent homes and didn't necessarily grow up in the same type of environments that I grew up in. So again, I think we have to look at the whole picture when it comes to what a woman is willing to do, which she's been taught how to do, what's been modeled for her. So, again, he's spot on. There's a lot of single mothers out there who are raising single mothers. You hear this generational thing of, how many men are you seeing in these families? Slim to none, but you got a bunch of single mothers. You do what you know, and it's hard to change. So I don't like to put this on Black people in general, because I see this in Hispanic communities as well. So, but I know our focus, I'm Black, I can speak on, being a Black woman, but I also see this in other minority cultures.
I'm curious. Well, let me ask this question. And Ray Money said something good. She does not. He said, I like this lady. What's her channel? Ray, she does not have a channel yet. Maybe we'll get her to get a channel.
I've never done this in my life, Ray Money.
So she's not there yet. All right. So we talked about, do you think, because I heard Kevin Samuel say this, that maybe a woman needs a male therapist because a male will tell it to her straight, and maybe the woman will be more sympathetic and empathetic to her. So what is your thing on that? So my question is, do you think some women need a man? Do you think if it's a Black woman, you need someone of color because they understand you more? Or does it matter the color or the race of your therapist?
And I'm going to be very honest. Before I became a therapist, I was like, I would think people would want to come see, a Black lady, a Black woman would want to work with a Black woman. And as I've been in this for years now, I don't see that. I've had a lot of Caucasian men come into therapy, which I'm not going to lie, that was a surprise for me. I've older gentleman, Caucasian, come into therapy, and I would have thought the minute that, they were like, oh, she's Black, especially during the pandemic where I had to log on, and they're like, oh. So, but it hasn't been an issue. So I think it's just who you click with. I don't think it matters. I think it's who you are aligned with. Now, if you've got some racial trauma in your background, chances are you're not going to want to sit across the table from, a person who's white, and you're still trying to work through those things. So, but I don't necessarily, I think a good therapist is a good therapist. It doesn't matter what color they are. I have some phenomenal colleagues who are from all different races, and it just, that shouldn't matter. And it doesn't matter. A good therapist is a good therapist. A bad therapist is a bad therapist.
Correct. All right. That's good. Now, the next question is, I think men, it's very difficult for us to get to therapy because I think sometimes we get very dismissive. I want to play this clip, and I think this shows the dismissiveness that when a man tries to say, hey, this is our issue, what happens?
When you didn't show up for my birthday in St. Louis, I felt that you wouldn't give me the time and attention that I needed. I told you we should just become friends because it seemed like that you weren't showing me no interest.
You wanted me to court you and woo you like you was my girlfriend.
I never did want to do that.
Yes,
you just
you
saying
did.
that, okay. But you can have
that's
that.
real talk.
You can have that.
That's
okay.
real talk.
Okay. When you didn't show up for my
So the man is saying to the woman, you didn't show up for me. You didn't do anything for me. And her response is, oh, you wanted me to court you like that? And he's like, what? So as men, sometimes I think when we show our vulnerability, that's when we get trampled on. So what do you say to men who may want to go to therapy? They may want to show their vulnerability to their significant other. But this is what happens, especially in the Black community. And I say Black because I've seen it, where we seek out that vulnerability and we crush it. It's like, oh, when you grow up, oh, look at your shoes. We talk about each other. We always do that. So how do you get men to therapy when this is what we experience? And how do we get men to open up in relationships when this is what we experience?
Well, and you're right. And I have to validate what you just said. But at the end of the day, hurt people hurt people. If you enter into a relationship and you've seen 9 million red flags, but somehow you think she's going to be supportive when you lose your job, that's your fault. You saw the writing on the wall, but you decided to walk down the hallway anyway. That doesn't make sense to me. A lot of people act shocked when you saw it in the beginning. You just decided to ignore it. If she was a hood rat on the first date, she's going to be a hood rat a year from now. So I struggle with, I can't believe she did. Yes, you did. Yes, you can. She showed you who she was on the first date, but she was cute, right? And so you decided to put up with it. And now you're shocked because you need more than cute. And my mother always told me, looks fade. Get your education because looks fade. So I do think that men, unfortunately, have been hurt. And again, I hate to keep putting stuff on Black women because not all Black women are out there hurting Black men. There are some, I have some one, and a matter of fact, I wish we could get a couple on here, but I have some friends.
You can.
Well, I will, because these are people
they will help us out.
For 20, 30 plus years, Black couples who healthy marriages, they have their challenges, but they know how to work through them. So my exposure has been to see what healthy marriages, Black marriages look like. Okay. However, when you enter in a situation at the beginning and you two are unbalanced, that is not going to equal out. It's not. So I feel like men are being unrealistic in these expectations, and they're getting hurt when the marriage doesn't work out. And then she wants half. But now, and I'm going to say something about that too. But I feel like, again, the writing is on the wall in the beginning. But I feel like just, again, going back to Kendra G, people ignore the red flags. And I don't understand that. But I'm going to say something. When a woman is married to a man and she has his children, and I'm gonna say this again, I will never look at these comments. I feel as long as that woman was supportive and helping that man raise their children together, she is entitled to half. Because during that time that she's raising those children, she's not working. She is dedicating her time to being there for her children. So that time that she could have been getting her education or furthering her career, he's investing in her because she is now taking care of the children. So I struggle with a woman or a man who says, well, now she wants half. Why not?
So I don't think that's the issue. Okay. I think the issue is this. The issue becomes, because I agree with you. That I agree with. If you're there helping me build, you have given me time. If I've had children, you've actually, especially if you made my life easier. When I came home, there was some food, the laundry was done. I had extra time to build my career. Men get scared when I just slept with you. You ain't built nothing with me. It was just a one night stand, and all of a sudden now I'm paying you $10,000 in child support. Or like say Tyrese, we've been married a year. What did you help me build? Why are you entitled to all this money? You didn't help me build anything. Nothing. And now your only purpose is to take from me. That's where a man says, hold up, I built all of this and you came in 1 year and you're trying to take half of this that you did not do. That's where our dilemma comes in.
Okay.
So
So this is
it's like if you take LeBron and his wife, and she's like, "Hey, I've been there when you was 18."
that's different.
Okay, yeah, but
Okay, so
you
let's
got
let's
there when I'm 30, when I'm old and retired. You know, when I'm 58 and we got divorced at 59, and you're like, "I need all that Social Security."
okay. So for the men who slip up, is this what you're referring to when they get somebody pregnant?
Slip up, or you get married and you get like you said, the woman's cooking, they're cleaning, they're raising their kid. But we just got married last week, or we got married 12 months ago. The baby was born 9 months ago. Then we got a divorce. You entitled to half? I can, child support. You entitled to that much child support? Does it take $10,000 a month to raise a kid?
No, but it takes
All right.
$10 for a condom. And you didn't get a chance to know that woman enough before you got her pregnant. So you've got all these scenarios out there where men are out here impregnating these women. It takes two people to have sex, and all y'all had to do was run to Walgreens and get a box of condoms. All y'all had to do. So
That's true.
you had a child with somebody you didn't know. And you're not out here getting a surgeon at Johns Hopkins pregnant. You're over here getting some girl who barely has a high school diploma. And then you're trying to figure out why is she trying to take half? She can't take care of herself. And on top of that, she doesn't have the mentality to even understand what went into him getting that money, nor does she care. So men need to step back and think about the type of women they are getting pregnant before they are all up in arms about, okay, now I got to give her half. Well, you should have thought about that the night you had sex with her without a condom.
I agree. That's why I cannot get responsibility. I cannot take the responsibility for a woman. If they say you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. You knew what you had. You knew what you was getting with. You met her at 3:00 outside of Magic City. What did you expect? So, as men, we cannot get angry at what we produce. So
Correct.
I agree with that.
Correct. Now, is it right?
No,
No, it's not right. But both people have to accept responsibility for their actions.
I want to play this, and I want to know, where did this type of love go? And everybody, please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe and follow. We're going to have an open panel here in maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I just want to get some questions out of the way before we bring anybody up. I want to know about this kind of love, because I seen this and I said, this just doesn't happen. Why?
Man comes home from work and his wife has really long hair down to the floor. And she asked her husband, she said, honey, I would like to get this comb. It's very expensive to take care of my hair. And he says, I'm sorry, right now we can't do that. My watch just broke and I need this watch for work. So I gotta get my watch fixed. I'm sorry.
Right.
So he left, went to work, came home. As he was coming home, he went to the watch store to repair it. And he said, you know what? How much would you give me for this watch? He sold the watch and went and bought her that comb.
Wow.
Came home excited.
Right.
Honey, I got something I want you to see. She came out, and when she came out, she had cut off all of her hair.
Oh, wow.
He said, I just bought you this comb. Why'd you do that? She said, well, I cut off my hair and I sold my hair and I got you this watch.
Wow.
See, that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Why ain't it like that no more? Why is it you got to give me everything? Or the goal of this relationship is to get as much as I can. Back then, it was about a mutual sacrifice. We had roles, and I hate to use that word traditional or submissive, but as you can see, there was roles. It was, I'm going to do what I can to help you out, and the man says the same. Because a man, like he said, I'll give up everything to make sure my wife is happy.
Right.
The woman says, I'll cut my hair off to make sure my man is happy. That doesn't happen today. And in your therapy, when you go through it, why do you see that people are being so selfish? Where did this selfishness come from?
Well, okay. So then again, it does still happen. Do we see it as much? No. And unfortunately, again, with social media, we always see the ratchetness of relationships that blow up on the internet and whatever. So we don't get to see the gentle side and the healthier sides of marriages because people don't want to see that anymore. But it does still exist. I have couples who come into therapy and one is sick. We're trying to figure out how do we work through this, as one of the partners is either dealing with cancer or some type of chronic illness. How do they better support each other? Those are the things that that really excite me. Like, okay, how did they even get to this point where they're willing to? This is the thick and the thin, the good and the bad. So it does exist. However, I do think that I just think the world is just, I think love just looks differently now. And I think we're just at a stage where I think many people, not all people, because I see some healthy relationships, but I think many people enter into marriage for the wrong reasons. They're entering into it not necessarily because, they want a partner, they just don't want to be by themselves anymore. So then you're married to somebody you can't even stand. So I just, people aren't willing to take the time that it needs to really nurture a relationship and continue to build on it. People are impatient. People are ready to quit at the sign of this is getting too difficult. So I just think, relationships have been made to be very optional, including marriage. Whereas years ago, you got married and you stayed married. There's some people that stayed married, they should have divorced day two, but we're not in the same day and age anymore. I just think people give up very easily when things get difficult. And there's too many options out there. There's too many access to options out there.
I agree. And I'm going to play this one because I think it becomes generational. And I want to talk about how we break that bond, because I want to talk about some solutions, and I'm going to bring these guys on.
Okay.
He thought I was his son. So that mean that
We don't see nothing funny.
Nah.
But see, I told you that was your dad. I first of all, that is your dad. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who you took the test with and what you had going on, but that's your dad.
Yeah. It sounds good, but look, I'm just saying.
It sounds good.
Nah, that's the result. The result say what it say now. My daddy.
First of all, you ain't had no business going behind my back. That's what you didn't have no business doing.
Yeah, but I just feel like I ain't had no bond with him like that. Like, I knew something was off. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wanted to go get my results and see what's going on.
Let me tell you something.
It's okay. I'm old enough, I understand. Now, if my real dad ain't want to take care of me, you know what I'm saying? And
see, some things are better left unsaid.
Oh, okay.
You should just left it like it was. I ain't tell you. I told you that was your dad. You should have went right on with it all these years. You 18 years old, 19 years old now. It's no sense of trying to go behind my back and figure it out. You too old.
She said something that I think really hurts the Black community. She said, how did she say that? You should have went behind my back. Some things are better left unsaid.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of trauma that happens in those families where they say, you should have just kept that. We shouldn't even talk about it. Talk about that. And then when you talk about that, I also want you to focus on how many people are hurt. You got a son hurt. You got this guy who thinks he's the father. He's hurt. The real dad maybe doesn't know he can be hurt. And the woman here who is just taking no accountability.
None. And I see this a lot, not just when it comes to parentage, but also when it comes to trauma in the families, and just let's not talk about it. Let's pretend like it didn't happen. And you've got generational abusers, pedophiles, predators in these families. We just don't want to talk about it. So then you've got multiple generations affected by one person. And this is the same with the secrets. And you're right, it's generational. Why are we still keeping secrets in 2024? Why are we still holding on to, daddy walked out of my life 30 years ago and I hate him and I'm trying to have a healthy relationship right now? It doesn't make any sense. In order for people to heal and to truly learn how to have healthy relationships, you got to go back and clean out all of the wounds. You got to stop acting like it doesn't exist and it's not affecting you. I hear so many women say, you know, my father wasn't around, this, that, and the other. Okay, but you have 3 marriages that have failed and you can't figure out why? Because you don't want to deal with what hurts you in the first place. And the fact that every man that has come into your life is paying for all the hurt that you feel your father has caused. You can't have a healthy relationship when you're holding on to so much hate and anger. And you got these generations, you know, grandma ain't talking to such and such and this, that, and the other. And, you know, we're not going to talk about the fact that grandpa got 9 kids over here. Why are we not talking about it? Because when you have all of these secrets, when you step back and look at the family picture, you can see how these dynamics play out in each family. You can see who has, multiple children with multiple men. You can see who have multiple failed marriages. You can see who, you know, is strung out on drugs. You can see how it plays out, but it continues to be repeated. Why? I don't know. But the same when it comes to when you have these broken marriages and then you raise these girls who do not know how to enter into a healthy relationship. But we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to fix it.
Well, I do want to talk about this since that you said some people argue that strong Black women narrative does more harm than good. And it pushes Black women to suppress, avoid, and seeking help. You agree?
Yes.
You know, because I'm a strong Black woman. I don't need nobody. How does that play for and against us? And when you see, because what you surprised me with was, I never thought, I live in a community with Indian people. I just didn't think they got therapy. I mean, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I never seen the problems that they have. So with us, do you think it's
Right.
detrimental with it? So tell me about both of those. And I still see you back there. Hold on, we're gonna bring you up. I just got about a few more questions because I got to save some to our next therapy session. You know,
I know. I talk a lot. You knew that. So yes, I do think that the idea of a strong Black woman has hurt. Number one, because you can only keep that up for so long, and you have women who are out there and they are running these, you know, companies, and they're coming home and they're falling apart. You know, it gets too heavy, and you need to say, you know what? Guess what? I need help. But you have women who, you know, for generations and generations, they see, you know, the women in their family do it on their own, and they don't ask for help. And these women are breaking down. They're sick. They don't have healthy relationships. So it's strong Black woman is good to an extent, but everything can be done in the extreme.
all right. I'm gonna bring this up from Darnell, but I know we're talking about this strong Black thing. No, and I hate to do this, but this is our stereotype. This is how they see us, or how we see women. And I want you to talk about the truth or the false part behind this.
Where you from?
Like, y'all have the most attitude. Y'all talk with y'all hands the most. Y'all tell me what y'all ain't gonna do. Y'all call y'all homegirls. Like, y'all are the most egregious. Y'all are the most offensive.
Why do you think Hispanics definitely do this more?
We're not saying that it doesn't happen in other communities. Y'all are y'all are the most offensive and the most egregious. That is just the reality. It's a reason why it's called, like, why we say that it's called an angry Black woman. Y'all didn't get that label out of happenstance that somebody just made it up. It's something that y'all embrace and that y'all created for yourselves, and y'all continue to perpetuate it today.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
So do Black men just walk away from Black women, or is there
some of them
solution to it?
Some of them are.
Something like certain dudes.
So they can get some control.
So how do we break that stereotype? And is that stereotype based in some fact? You know, the strong Black woman, that aggressive woman, that, you know, do nothing to me. I mean, I've been there. You know, there's a video I was going to play where the guy said this. He said, there's a Popeyes where I used to work at, where he lived at. He said, I hated going to that Popeyes. You ask anything, it was so crazy because it was all black people working there. It's like it was just a fight. It's like you go in there and you got a battle. Like, can I get an extra piece of chicken? Why do you want that chicken? He said, then Mexicans took it over. He said, everybody in here is Mexican. He's like, they happy to see you. Hey, how you doing? You want some extra rice for that? You need a biscuit, brother? You need. So where do we get this angry black woman? Because that stereotype has to come from somewhere. And hold on, when you answer that, I'm gonna have some solution questions. Then we're gonna bring Todd up.
Okay,
help me out with that.
well, the angry black woman, unfortunately, again, this is generational. And I'm going to tell you just quick snippet. I was, born and raised in the suburbs, whatever, came home from school, my senior year of high school, and I was telling my mother a story. And I went like this when I was I thought I cursed my mother out when I did that. She said, I better not ever see you roll your neck like that again. She said, I will knock it off of your shoulders. I never did it again. I never did it again. My mother said, you don't talk with your hands and you don't talk with your neck, and I better not hear you smack your teeth. And I'm like, whoa, never did it again. None of the women that my mother raised have ever done it. So it was something that my mother saw with going to work. She worked at a car factory for several years, and my mother got to run into different demographics per se. And she saw some things that she was like, no, my children will not. So it has to be broken at some time. Again, we keep talking about generational. Many of the things that we've talked about today are generational, and it has to stop somewhere. But when it comes to dealing with it, women, and I'm going to talk about black women have to realize it's an issue before it can be addressed. If you don't realize it's a problem, you're not going to change. And if you can't sit down and have a calm conversation about some of these behaviors and why it's not okay, then we're going to continue to see it.
Correct. And I think Darnell, shout out to Darnell for the super chat. Darnell finally got a haircut, brothers. He was looking like a homeless man for a long time. Not looking good, not picking it up, but he got that cut, that shave, and now he's ready to take a vacation. But he says rap music, movies, Kardashians, they changed American culture.
Yeah.
Partying, drugs, luxury lifestyle are being promoted. Both men and women are socially engineered today by social media. So do you see that? And the reason I know that's true is I was watching a show where I had these little kids. They were like 5 years old and they were asleep. And this is what they were doing in their sleep.
Yeah.
They were dreaming that they were on the phone, like, yeah, with that. So social media has to have a great impact. How do you see that changing with the people you work with? Like, well, such and such Sexy Red said booty hole, black something, and they go with that.
Well, I started. I'm sorry.
The guy feels like I gotta fly that chick out. If you can't fly her out, you can't put her on Spirit. No, now you can't even do Spirit. I'm just saying.
And I just wanted a drink from the club. That's all I want. It's the reality of dating. I'm so glad to be off the market, because the stuff that these people, men and women, have to deal, the nonsense that they have to deal with is mind blowing. Yes, I do feel like social media has changed just what dating looks like. I think the delusion is real. We can put anything and make it look real on the internet, and that's what's unfortunate, because you have a lot of people who are seeking these relationships they just don't exist. So yeah, I think that it's been a blessing and a curse.
I got a few questions for solutions, and I'm gonna bring Todd up. So what advice would you give young black women who are struggling to maintain both mental health and their relationships in today's world? So you got a little kid, you got a little niece, you got a little Someone their age, what advice would you give them when they struggling with mental health and relationships?
Okay, so first and foremost, that when people come into therapy, the first thing I ask them is, how much are you on social media? And we need to take a break. When you're trying to heal your mental health, you can't be on social media. If people don't understand how,
Except if you're watching this channel, if you're watching this channel, you can stay on social media as long as you want, because we therapeutic. But go ahead.
I'm okay. Look,
I'm joking with you, baby. I'm joking.
I mean, you're right though, but I'm specifically talking about, the unrealistic, stuff that people put on Facebook. We've got the happy family. We never argue. We don't ever stink. Our booty never itches. That's not the reality. So I think that if people take a break off of social media, especially if they're having issues in a relationship, turn it off and focus on your relationship. Get into therapy. Find somebody that you can click with. Therapy is not just for people who are hurting, it's for people who are doing well so that you can continue doing well. I have a lot of people who come into therapy just for maintenance. How do I keep this going? What are some things that I can look forward to in the future? So it's not just for people who are hurting, it's for people who want to continue to be okay.
One last question before I bring them up. And you talked about this. You talked about the problem, but what steps can Black women take, or Black people, or people in general, take to dismantle that generational trauma and cultivate a healthier relationship patterns for themselves and for the next generation?
Talk about it. Start pulling the cobwebs off of these secrets and the trauma. You have to talk about it. It is not going to be okay when you got the pedophile sitting at the family dinners every year and everybody's trying to keep an eye on the kids. No, let's talk about the pedophile in the room. Let's talk about little Uncle Johnny who's touching all the kids. Let's talk about Uncle Johnny that's molested 15 women in the family and 3 boys. Let's stop hiding things. The stuff that we've got going on, and I'm going to speak about African American families in general. This stuff that we got going on about not telling about grandpa touching on, his daughters. Stop. We have got to have these conversations. We cannot keep this stuff. It happened. You can't change it. It happened. So let's talk about it and let's figure out, okay, how do we keep this from continuing? How do we heal those who've been affected? So the best way to deal with it is to start talking about it. The damage has been done, so let's do some healing.
Correct. I'm going to bring you up, Todd. Ronin, I see you back there. We're going to bring you up because I know you're staying on and you're doing. So Todd, if you're ready, here you come, brother. This is Todd Allen. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And I do see you, Darnell, with the, well, let me get Darnell first. Darnell with the $10 cash app says, "Fearless, listen to the song For Women." Oh, Nina Simone. I love Nina Simone. This song will answer your question about the angry Black woman stereotype. Listen closely to Peach's story towards the end. I'm gonna do that. I love me some Nina Simone. Man. Even though they try to play her as a light-skinned Black woman, even though Nina Simone dark, we love her. We can't do that. Todd, how you doing today, sir? Todd has a channel, How to Be Happy, where he's actually going to be on next Thursday therapy session, and that'll be focused more on men, where he talks about the ways, the science of being happy. And I'll let you introduce yourself, Todd.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And hello to the guests. I really resonate with what you've been saying. Thank you for that. And hello, Ronin. How are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Todd?
Semper Fi.
Hoorah.
My name is Todd Allen. I'm a former economics and business professor for over 24 years. I helped create the Jack Welch School of Management. I now do personal coaching and help people to understand the science of happiness and to create lifestyle and fulfillment. And thank you, Fearless, for allowing me to be on the show. And I do have a question for your guest. I think that culture, I wrote it down. I want to say it correctly. I apologize. So it says, culture eats strategy before breakfast. And so while many people look for solutions, their culture sometimes gets in the way and prohibits them from continuing. Would you agree with that? Would you say that's a true statement?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when it comes to people coming into therapy, you know, I ask, okay, well, you know, what took you so long? Well, because we weren't allowed to talk about things in our family. And this is primarily when you're speaking of Indian culture, Hispanic culture. It wasn't necessarily that there was this stigma attached to talking about family stuff. They just didn't have access to therapy. But when you're talking about Indian culture and you're talking about African American culture, there's this thing that you keep your stuff at home. So yeah, I do think we've got to get out of this mindset that we don't talk about our problems. We fix it at home. It's not getting fixed at home. So we got to go outside of the house.
Now, without dating ourselves again, I go back to the Jeffersons and Good Times, and how those shows had impacted a lot of the psyche of a group of people. And it's kind of interesting that Norman Lear, who was not African American, but was of a different persuasion, actually wrote those themes, those shows that had such a dynamic impact upon a community at that time. Now, you also mentioned that social media today has played a significant role in the destruction of families and relationships. How can, aside from turning it off, where can a person go, or what should they do in order to change their emotional IQ as it relates to relationships in that regard? Then,
you know, number one, you know, who are you associating with? One of the things I ask couples that come into therapy are what's your support system look like? You know, how many married couples are you around? When you're out on the weekends, why are you hanging around a bunch of single people? Not to say there's anything wrong with single people, but why aren't you hanging around people that are like-minded and who have the same challenges that you have? So, you know, again, looking for married couples, looking for not even married, looking for healthy couples. You know, reaching out to your church. Now, I'm not a person who is, you know, big on church. However, you know, maybe some spiritual guidance. Find things to do outside of the house. Learn how to connect with each other outside of what you're doing on TikTok. You know, go out and do things together. Experience things, travel, go to the park and take a walk, or sit in the middle of the park and eat lunch and learn more about each other. I think we've stopped talking. And I think, you know, because we're so immersed in our phones I go to restaurants, I'm like, they're sitting across from each other. I know we talked about this a million times. Y'all are at dinner looking at your phone. We could have ordered a pizza. So, you know, I think for looking for deeper ways to connect with each other, getting outside of the house, finding people that you can communicate with and network with that have similarities, and that you can ask the questions. You know, stop being afraid to say, I'm having a problem in the bedroom. Stop being afraid to say, you know, I can't stand my husband right now. I can't stand my wife right now. What do? This is the reality. The biggest letdown for me when I got married was there wasn't a honeymoon stage. There's no such thing. You can't stand each other. You're now trying to merge two different households and all these other things. And oh my God, it's not a honeymoon stage. We're doomed. No, you're not. The reality of marriage is you're still trying to learn each other now that you're a married couple. So I think people have got to stop bringing in these unrealistic expectations into their relationships.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Can I ask another question?
Yeah, man, you want a timetable, man. We know that you want a restriction.
Well, I asked my wife if I could stay up late tonight. She said I could. So
okay,
you know.
Okay. So then I didn't want to tie into jumping on a conversation.
I know you and Fearless had that conversation.
Yeah,
I know you and Fearless had that conversation, but I'm good. I asked permission. So.
Oh, okay.
Ciao.
Very good now.
Buenas noches. Vale. Relationships today are social contracts, or appear to be social contracts. So is that the reason why most relationships are transactional?
I wouldn't say, okay, from my experience, from my exposure to those who come into therapy, I'm not seeing that most relationships are transactional. However, I do feel that people who are being exposed to what is out there, I think their idea of what a relationship should be is very misconstrued. So I sorry, that's my dog.
What kind of dog is it?
I've got 2 pit mixes.
Okay, so they're real dogs. They're
They're
not.
real.
Damn. Why you gotta say it like that, bro?
Because a lot of people
with
call
my ex-wife's dog. I got stuck with my ex-wife's dog, bro.
Well, can it fit in a purse? It's not a dog.
Right.
It can't quite fit in a purse, but it's small. And big old me got this small ass dog right now.
Sorry.
It's part of my therapy.
So, but it's okay. But you couldn't get like a teddy bear or something. You know, it's got to be something
the teddy
that's
bear is
breathing.
bigger than her.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I digress. Sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
So yeah, so I don't feel like all relationships are transactional. However, when you have the younger generation or the generation who was very immersed in social media, I just think that the idea of what a healthy relationship is very skewed.
But see, here's the thing. I do not see anything wrong with a transactional relationship. It used to be back in the day, you know, a dude came up and said, look, I got a farm. I need a wife and somebody to cook for me and some kids. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to raise something. So his thing was, I'm going to raise this fruit or these vegetables. I'm going to make some money with this cattle. And I just need some kids and you stay home and cook for me. So that it was always, in a sense, transactional. But in that sense, it was, I'm going to give you something and you're going to give me something in return. Today it's, you're going to give me something and that's all that has to happen. That you give, and there's nothing that gets in return on both sides. A guy's like, I'm going to, look, we're going to Netflix and chill. We're not going to dinner. We're not doing anything and I'm going to bust you down all the time that I want to. And a woman says, look, I'm going to get all that money. You're going to take me to all these rich places. I'm not cooking. I'm not cleaning. I don't wash clothes. I don't do any of that. Our transactions have been messed up. We don't get the return anymore. Where before it was almost like an even return. This is what I need. This is what you can do. Okay. So is there anything wrong with transactional relationships?
Georgia,
as long
help
as both
him,
people are
because
getting
he's got problems.
I,
Help him. I know he's your friend. But
She
that
doesn't know
statement
me
right
for
there
years.
was way off.
No,
I know. I see your
She
look.
know
That statement that came out his mouth, you know, was all kind of wrong.
I just
He sounded like the color purple, straight up.
All my life, I had to fight.
Right. Well, so I will say, I don't necessarily have a problem with a transactional relationship as long as both parties are on the same page. I don't, I think it's all about what you're looking for.
Well, yeah, and I would agree with that, because my wife and I have a ketubah based upon how, our faith. We drew up a contract that was actually signed by the pastor, the rabbi, and once we were married, he signed this contract, and it now sits up in our house as a reminder. So is it transactional? Yes, but in time it goes beyond the transactional, because we have to have some level of awareness, of belief, of faith, of being on this, as you said, being on the same page. We're on the same contract, so to speak. So, and it is also sort of like a prenup, that there's an agreement that if something goes awry, these are the things that person can expect as well. So it gives some level of security, and if you will, because we know that in the U.S. all contracts are are very much supported.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no issue with a social contract or transactional either. But to your point, I think it has to go much. If there's going to be any level of beyond the surface, it has to be deeper than that.
Yeah.
Deeper than that contract.
Absolutely. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. You said some things earlier with mothers, single mothers, and the term son husbands comes to mind. These women are raising these sons as their boyfriends and so on, and taking the place of them. And one of the things as an edict for me is to teach young men how to break that son husband role, because they need to claim their independence, because they are not. They are attached still to their mothers, to where it becomes a matriarchy. And that's why you get such disarray in our community, because men do not know how to take over control of their homes. Men, even though they might be younger and the son of that woman, should be the leaders of the home. That has changed over the years because of this son husbandry and this ultimate loyal to bow down to your mother, and she can do no wrong. And she absolutely can. She's still a woman at the end of the day. She's still emotional at the end of the day. She makes knee-jerk reactions without analytical thought processes. So all these men that are out here that are really simping for their mothers.
I don't like that word.
I know you don't probably like the word simping, but say the ultimate love. They will bear down and do the things they need to do for their mother, and she can do no wrong. She absolutely can. And I need you to speak to that as a woman.
Well,
simping is better than Oedipus.
Oh, Lord. Oh. So you're gonna have to give the Urban Dictionary breakdown of what Oedipus is. Yes.
So I think it's disgusting. I think it's very confusing. I think it's inappropriate. I think it leaves a lot for these young men to have to figure out on their own. And most of the time they figure it out and it's not where it needs to be. I think it's disgusting when I hear women call, this is my boyfriend, my man. Stop calling your 4-year-old man. Stop. Allow them to be children and teach them what it means to be a young person. And I'm not even teach them how it. Let's just stick in the age frame. Why we have 4-year-olds, watching this, being involved, this, that, and the other. Just be appropriate. And I just think that whole son, husband, boo, man thing, it's disgusting. And it leads into a mentality, and you absolutely hit it on the head, where men don't know how to lead. And I see this often in therapy, where I've got men, I've got to speak in very general terms, heads of household, male heads of households who come in and they're like, my kid won't go to school. My kid's talking back. My kid, he won't come home at night. And I have to ask, because I'm thinking, well, did I miss it in the beginning? I said, do you live in the house?
Right.
I'm confused because I don't understand. What are you telling me that your teenage son is not listening to you? I don't understand what you're saying. But you've got these women who have now put ultimatums. If you talk to my son that way, you can leave. So that's a whole nother show, because we could be here for 4 hours. So I don't.
Let me write that down. That's going to be a son husband. We're going to have that on our list.
Because I have an 80-year-old mother, and I've gone through this with her. And I'm very direct with my mother. I'm her son, but at the end of the day, I'm still the oldest male leader and the only sibling left of the children that she's had.
Okay.
So one of the things I confronted her about, I said, Mom, you taught me how to be a perfect gentleman. Taught me how to cook, clean for myself, clothes, all that stuff, wash clothes. I said, but the one thing I noticed you never taught me how vindictive, sneaky, and conniving women can be. You taught me all the positive things, but you never told me anything negative about what women can do, even though they put on a good front and act innocent. Why not? Oh, I left that for you to figure out. So even your own mother will leave you to the wolves rather than break the female bond when it comes to y'all secrets? Why is that?
No, the other question would be this.
No. Don't interrupt her. She tried not to
It's along
answer.
those same
Stop it.
lines.
Stop it. Let her answer that question. She don't want to answer it.
Well, it's like professional wrestling. She can't tell a secret.
Well, so I'm gonna say when I moved to Atlanta, I was exposed to something I had never seen before, and it was the flip side of infidelity. I didn't even know women could cheat the way they were cheating. I have friends who had their husband's frat brother over to the house calling their children, the children calling him uncle, and she's sleeping with him, and we partying together.
Say that.
I didn't even know that was trauma for me. I didn't even know that women could. That's a level of low that I had never been exposed to. And you are right. There are some trifling women out there who are grimy. And I don't know why those aren't conversations that mothers aren't having with their sons. I don't.
They will coddle their sons and keep them away. Oh, I don't want you to play football. I don't want you to do anything that's going to hurt you, but be rude to their daughters and say, you need to be boss bees all out in the freaking society nowadays, and coddle their sons, but then want to correct them and say, why can't you be a man?
So that's my question. Why is it that women raise the boys to be the men that they would not date?
Ooh.
Boom. Boom. Shlaka laka.
Did he drop the mic?
He might as well. Because
I wasn't always partying at the school. I was in class.
We don't have enough time for that comment.
That can be a follow-up one.
I want to know what frat
husband thing and all that. We can have that.
You?
I want to know what frat.
Oh, don't say that, because me and him in the same one. Oh Lord. So she know what that is.
No, it is not. No, it's not this. It's not your frat.
All right. Well, I didn't think it was, but I had not.
Because you know them dogs. Them dogs are rude. Yeah. Darnell has a question, because you said something and he wondered why. Why doesn't she like the word simping?
Thank you for asking. I don't know. It gets under my skin. It's an accurate description. It is. I just don't like it. I think that anytime I hear a young man being called a simp by his father, it gets under my skin. And so I will say, I think the reason that's a trigger word for me is because I hear it used in an abusive tone.
But for a father to call his son a simp, I blame the father for that.
Yeah. So
if you're calling your own son a simp, that means you messed up.
Period. But I still don't like the word.
Do women like simps?
We giving her too many hard questions. She just can't want to. She don't want the cat out the bag because they might put a hit out on her.
Right.
I would say that it depends on the woman.
See, I see it different. And the reason I see it different, I've seen those same women who would date those safe guys are the same women that when that guy went to sleep, they was knocking on the dorm room of the athletes. They were cheating with them. You know, those really nice girls was the one who was going out with those bad boys. So the simp was the safe guy to marry, but he was not the guy that brought that excitement and that joy and that living on the edge. So how does a guy win? You know, you hate the bad boy. You say we're wrong, but the bad boy gets all the attention. but you want to be married the good guy. So as a guy, it's like women are building Frankenstein, or you living at the buffet. I want
they
two
trying.
guys,
They're
I
trying,
want
but
two
they're never
guys,
happy.
dreadlocks, but I want him to be a lawyer in corporate. He got to be a thug, but he got to be a nice guy. He got to make money, but he got to be street knowledge. Why y'all build these men? It's confusing for men.
But I don't think it's not all women, and that's why I don't like using the term all or these women or those men, because you're not. I just think some people are in the wrong place at the wrong time. The people that they're compatible with, a lot of these people, they work from home. A lot of the eligible men out there, they're not going out to the bars.
Yeah.
They're not out at the clubs. They're at home making money, living in their little shell. So there's a lot of good men out there, and there's a lot of awesome women out there who are also not dating. I have to force some of my female clients to go out.
But even though there are good women that possibly go out every once in a while with their girlfriends, but they're a needle in a haystack around all these, and they all dress alike. So you can't guess which one is which that way, because her girlfriend's gonna get her to wear something obnoxious out to make her blend into the crowd. So you can't even pick her out of the crowd because she's gonna let her girlfriend talk her into wearing something just outrageous. So she can't even be identified by the way she dresses.
I agree with that.
So even when they go out in their cloaked in the other chick's clothes. So you still can't pick them out that way. So then when you go to approach them, a lot of these young men have learned, they go to approach him and it's like a pack of hyenas that attack him. So they get scared to even approach now because you got a couple haters in the group that will just shine them off and just say, nah, you're not good enough for her. Knowing that she is a good girl, but the bad ones will run defense.
I cannot disagree. And I tell many women that they need to learn how to date themselves and go out alone. Because if you are with a bunch of hating, angry women, you're not going to find somebody. Because then your girlfriends are going to find something wrong with every man that steps your way. So women have to learn how to, number one, be comfortable with themselves and be okay by themselves, and then be okay to go out there and date and have fun. That's when you're going to find your person. You're not going to find it at the club with a bunch of girls who are half dressed. You're not.
Exactly.
Well, is there, I mean, you've heard the term biological clock or what have you, but is there something in the back of women's mind that gives them the impression that they have a shelf life? And so because there's a shelf life that makes them uber competitive with other women, and they think that time is running out for them as it relates to being in a relationship.
I want to hear the truth. Don't tell that lie.
Well, but I do think some women think that they have a shelf life. I think that, I think even now that we're in 2024, women who aren't married now, I think it's going to look differently. But women who are in their 40s, mid 40s, going into their 50s, who've never been married, never have children, they don't even think they're worthy of being dated. So I think, I'm starting to feel that that's changed, luckily, for the celebrities who have gotten pregnant in their 40s and 50s and who are now making it okay. But I think for many years, once a woman turned 30 plus, myself included, you're like, well, hell, it's over for me. So, and then you see, women who were in their, 40s and 50s, beautiful women, take care of themselves, educated. And you feel like, the men aren't even looking your way anymore. And it feels that way because you see in media, you've got 50-year-old men walking around with 20-plus-year-old girls.
But the whole thing is, with that thought process, women still have the mentality of hypergamy. That 40 or 50-year-old is making so much more money now. She has competitively marked herself out because she ain't going to walk into no millionaire club and find a millionaire.
Correct.
And she's not willing to go backtrack and pull somebody up to her level, unlike men that walk into a club well-established that will do that very thing.
Okay, but why did you just say pull him up to her level?
Because a lot of women, for instance, even the news broadcaster was asked, would you take a bus driver?
No, it wasn't. It was Ebony K. Williams.
Ebony K. Williams specifically said something similar to that. She's in a place of comfort And she's saying it's hard to find a man. And the interviewer asked her, would you marry or be interested in a bus driver if he approached you and he was well dressed enough that, you know, he was appealing to you? She goes, absolutely not unless he owned the bus company. So the standard is already so high because they're so well established that women, because of hypergamy, it dictates they will never look backwards. It's very rare if they do. And if they do, it's more of a boy toy control thing than an equal thing. Because they're always going to think they know better than that man because they're already where that man probably needs to be.
Let me piggyback on what he said. So Ebony K. Williams is a successful lawyer, Black, female, very attractive. So when a woman says, because it's not the same. If a woman says, I got my own, I can take care of myself, I don't need a man, I can do all that. Why is it important the man's salary? Because if I say I make 6 figures, I can take care of myself, the woman's salary becomes insignificant because that means I'm going to marry her and now it becomes our salary. So if we're taking a trip, we're taking the trip. Whereas she sees it as, if I get married to him, I'm lowering my standards and he can't live up to me. Well, if you already are taking care of yourself and he can take care of himself, why does it matter? But here's the step beyond what she did. It wasn't about race because she had Black men she couldn't deal with. She had a white man she couldn't deal with. She got to the age that no man, that her standards were so high that she said, I'm never going to have a child. So she went and got IVF. Nothing wrong with that. But she got a sperm donor. So now she could have had just a bus driver or a father figure that maybe didn't make it much because now she still has to be the single mom who takes care of herself, now takes care of the child. What did it matter what the man's income made? You wasn't taking care of him anyway. So now she would rather be a single mother without a man and raise that child than have a man come in. Why is that? Why wouldn't say they lower their standards, you know, when it comes to that? But she's willing to raise a single kid without a father instead of having a man in her life.
But I don't think it's that she would rather be a single mother raising a single kid. I think once women get to a certain status in life, they worry about what other people think. And I feel that if women got to a point where they would stop worrying about, you know, what the Joneses are doing and do what makes them happy, you would have a lot of married women out there. But I think that women get to a certain point in their life, they don't want to have to explain why they're marrying somebody who's making $100,000 less than them. Why does it matter? It's society. I don't think it's the woman. I don't believe any woman out there wants to be raising a child on their own. I don't believe it.
Is it an issue of self-esteem?
Absolutely.
Because we all know that women don't dress for other men, they dress for other women.
Correct.
Yes. But we also know that older women are competing now with younger women. So
Yes.
they see the younger woman as a competition.
Yeah.
So they try to give them a leg up and they don't teach the younger women as much. So you have those single mom homes. And once again, we'll go back to that example where now the single mom is out of a second relationship or a third relationship, already had her kids that are grown. They're 20 and 30 and they're all going to the club together. All fighting for the same man.
Correct.
So is this why it appears that a lot of Black women are angry because men now have other options?
You didn't go there.
Men have other options now that they can go abroad. I mean, it appears that because this new this issue with the passport, and I'm not going to. I know that that's copywritten, so I'm not going to use the term.
Right.
That they're angry and they are vilifying men even more because men now look to more options outside of the geographic United States.
Are we specifically talking about Black women?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go, and I won't even just say Black women. I'll say maybe even Western culture.
Mm-hmm.
You're being nice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this without saying too much. some Black women are doing it to themselves, because Black women also have the option to date men who are not Black.
Absolutely.
But you got Black women stuck in this mindset. I'm not doing this. He can't do this for me. This, that. Okay, well, be single then. How about that? You be single. So
Yeah, Kevin Samuels didn't go over well when he said buy a dog and die alone, or a cat.
there's a lot of things that I feel he hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably one of them. I feel like there's a lot of single women out there who are blocking their own blessings because the man is not in the package that they had created in their head, that delusion. So I feel like if women would open up their minds and be willing to say, you know what, let me throw all these stereotypes out, because Black women can be very stereotypical when it comes to white men or men who are outside of the Black race. And I feel if they would stop doing that, they would be like, wow, there are men out there that think I'm absolutely gorgeous. Stop valuing yourself off of one minority group. There's not only Black men out there that think Black women are gorgeous. There's not only Black men out there who will treat a Black woman like she's a queen. It's not. So I think that Black women have put themselves in this box. That's their own doing. Open up.
Yeah, but to speak to that, you would have to go back and say Black women need to change their own perception or persona worldwide as being angry and difficult.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna get you.
I get why Black women are labeled angry. I get it. And I'm gonna be very open. And I don't know if Fearless remembers this side of me, but Fearless and I we go back like 30 plus years. I'm only 20 though. We won't talk
right.
So there was a stage in my life where, you know, I thought I was better than, and you're not going to talk to me if you're not wearing this or coming to me with a drink. I was that person. But when I was that, I was very broken. I had not healed from the things that I had been through. And I was angry at the world. It wasn't just Black men, it was the world. And it took me, number one, to go through my grad program, to have to sit down and look at myself, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But I think if Black women would stop being called angry, you're going to get an angry woman when you call her angry. If you tell a woman to calm down, she's going to blow up. So let's stop, you know, poking the bear and say, hey, you know, what's wrong? You know, why are you coming at me like that? Why, when I walk in the grocery store and I say hi to you, you act like I just spit in your face? You know, start having those conversations and stop calling Black women angry. Black women have a lot to be upset about, but not every Black woman is angry.
Right. And to your point, and I bring this up a lot in my podcast and different conversations I have with younger men. I was told by a woman to put my cape up. Because every Black woman I've ever dated has suffered some type of trauma. And I've walked them through, just like you said. I've walked them through that process of getting help and healing and self-reflection of why they're acting angry. I was that patient guy, you know, but it got to a point where it became abusive to me for being that patient guy.
Right.
And you can only do it so many times. You can only try to fix so many broken women that are in self-denial of their brokenness.
Right.
And then it comes to a point where, why is it on the Black man to continue to take the abuse from the Black woman to fix them? Especially when Black men have enough trauma to deal with on their own right. You guys aren't the only one in the fight.
Correct.
We're the ones getting strung up more. We're the ones getting shot at more. Y'all have to deal with the after effect. We got to deal with the here and now. So while our Black men are out there trying not only to fix you, but survive and still getting the rough shot of the stick.
And it's
Where's our
very
empathy at? Where's our empathy at? Because even when we try to shout to the rooftops in our own rooms, you still have Black feminist women and everybody else saying you don't have the right to tout and beat on your own chest for surviving. You still need to help us.
Or how do we know? And I say that because as a guy, it's like walking a landmine. We had one girl that was on the show. It said, guys better not approach me. What he looking at? I ain't giving no sign. And then you have other girls that say, why aren't men approaching us anymore? And we're like, what do we do? I want to be strong, independent. I don't need a man. But you're going to pay on that first date. You better spend $300. You're like, hey, I'm lost. So why is that confusing? It used to be kind of black and white, a little straightforward. What's happened where men don't know their role anymore?
I mean, we have a lack of Black fathers. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Well, every woman has a father, because if they didn't have a father, they wouldn't be here.
Okay.
So in many instances, the father has been eliminated because of the choice of the woman.
Well, hope.
I said a lot of times, because if I'm talking about divorce in the family, 80% of families are divorced, and the majority of those are because of the woman's decision.
That's a statistical fact. 80% of the women.
And what happened, the woman knows how to play those emotional games, meaning I want to see my child, but the woman say, you can't see their child because I'm mad at you. And he's not mad at the child. He just don't want to deal with you. But because he doesn't want to deal with you, you use that child as a weapon. And then and then what you hear later on is the guy saying,
we're not dumping on you. We're talking for everybody that comes in.
No, I'm agreeing, and it's painful because it's hard.
Right. I get it. We're not trying to dump on you, but I understand you're the woman in the room.
Yeah,
right.
You said hurt people hurt people. Okay, yeah. But it's just unfortunate because other groups of people have opinions about us by the way we treat one another.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so it doesn't matter where in the world we go. I'm here in Colombia. They look at me as a Black American from the United States. And so many of them, until I open my mouth and they deal with me on an ongoing basis, they have their own ideas of the type of person that I am, based upon the stereotypes that they see of how we treat one another.
Correct. I want to point something out something I has said to a single mother who was raising multiple boys. And I asked her, I said, when you go out to the grocery store, I said, are you angry? And she, what do you mean? I said, when you're out with your boys and a Black man says hi to you, I said, do you respond? She kind of just looked, she said, no. I said, why not? And I said, so you're teaching your boys that a Black man is not worthy of being spoken to. And that hit her like a ton of bricks. I said but all that Black man did was say hi. And that Black man looks just like those boys who were trailing behind you. And you have looked this man up and down and couldn't even give him a hi back. What are you telling your Black boys?
What was her response?
She cried.
Did she
cry? She cried.
Did she fix it?
Absolutely.
No.
And she said going out now, when she's with her boys and a man speaks to her, she makes sure not only does she speak, but she looks at that man. Stop treating men like shit in front of your boys.
Because they are watching.
Yeah.
They're watching.
If you look at her sons and see their father.
Absolutely. That was exactly why.
Yeah.
And so she had no idea how her behavior on a daily basis, on a surface level, she had no idea how much it was cutting them.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Mm.
But why did she cry? That's my question.
Because at that moment, she recognized how angry she was at their father.
Okay.
And the fact that she was making her boys pay for it and every other Black man that came her way.
Is that common?
It is.
Hell yes.
Well, I
The
had to
reason
ask the
say that
therapist.
because let me look. Between each marriage, I took a 8-year gap and break. I dated a lot of women in those 8 years between my marriages before I even got married. I just told you every one of them I've had to work with to help them fix themselves.
And
I
it
was
gets
that conscious
exhausting.
about their traumas. I was that aware about their traumas.
Right.
You know, and that's ridiculous. I'm 56.
Mm-hmm. You old.
No,
Yeah.
he's
No,
just
I'm
a
sorry.
baby.
I just turned 57. Sorry, today is my birthday. I'm
just
on here and it's
happy
my
birth-
birthday.
Happy
57.
birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, young man.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. I'm still a young man and I'm still pulling them young. So don't let that age catch you because
She's
I'm
trying
still
to get
pulling them.
Kevin Hart on you, like, damn.
Damn, you old.
Kidding. I'm up there.
Okay.
Believe you me.
Yeah.
I'm the elder statesman on this panel. So
Okay.
Right.
Well, I definitely, this was I've never done this in life.
I told her I was only going to keep her for 2 hours, so we're approaching the 2-hour mark.
But I appreciate you having the platform and the dialogue and questions. I always try not to speak in blanket statements because I know not everything applies to everybody. But I do think this is a really good platform to have these type of discussions because they're uncomfortable. And like I said, I think when you tell a Black woman she needs therapy, you're going to get some backs raised and some shouts because there's a way to do it. And I think at the end of the day, I'll say it again, we all need therapy.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter who, what, whatever. We could all benefit from sitting down and dealing with the stuff.
And therapy is not in church. So please.
Please say it again.
Therapy is not in the church.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Most of them pastors are the one that's causing the trauma anyway. You know that. I'm
Right.
letting you know.
And the deacons too. And the deacons.
We couldn't just end on a happy note.
No, we're not ending. We're gonna carry this. We got after hours. We're gonna let you go, and then it's gonna be all man panel.
Oh Jesus.
Oh yeah, we're gonna let you go, but we ain't done yet. I know somebody got something to say. There's 50-some people in the room. I know some people got some things to say. They ain't said it yet.
Well, if anybody has any questions, I'll hang on for a second. But other than that, I'm gonna go lay it down.
No, I don't want to keep you because I want to make sure that you come back and our panels can go a long time. And I'm not going to keep this long this time. But I want to next week, Todd Allen will be on. He's going to say it from a male perspective because he does that in healing. And I hope this is not the last time we see you. So I want to have something called Therapy Thursday where we talk about these subjects and try to, and now was, the surface, but I hope the next time and further
we're gonna dig into that son-husband part. So
yes.
So you already know what the topic's gonna be: son-husbands.
Son-husband. All right. Well, I enjoyed this.
Solutions, yes. So I told you it wasn't gonna be bad. You wasn't in the hot seat. You did well. We talked about
stuttering. All right, y'all have a great evening. It was awesome having this dialogue.
And, absolutely. It was a pleasure having you on and getting your perspective and honesty. Because a lot of women will lie to you just to keep the unity.
No, I gotta keep it real. Don't feel good, but I'll keep it real. All right, y'all take care.
Thank you.
All right, now.
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
All right, fellas, do you guys want to open up the panel and let the floodgates come in?
For another half an hour, we can go. I don't want the long one that we had because I know also Todd has. Todd, you didn't ask about the food.
The Cash App is Oh, Cash App on it. I thought you were asking for my Cash App. It's underneath my name.
Darnell wants to send you a happy birthday gift. He didn't have
okay.
Cash App there, so I wanted to, if you put that in the chat, so
Yeah,
that he
it's
can.
under my name. It's actually literally under my name. $ Ronin Travelers, and Travelers is spelled with a 3 Rs.
So, question that. Let's reflect on that. What do you guys think? I think
But
it
I'll
was
put the
good
link down there too.
to hear a woman's perspective.
Uncle Guns, if you can drop my Cash App, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think it was great to hear from a woman's perspective, and a woman that we didn't have to fight with. That it was a good conversation. No, a lot of times.
Side shot, Todd. You don't know the story. We've had several women, but they wind up getting their hearts broke, and all of a sudden get all emotional up in here.
Well,
I
I
we're
thought,
a little harsh.
I thought she was very professional. I thought that she was very knowledgeable. I think she's a very good therapist. She appears to be a very good therapist, not just for women but for men as well, because she keeps it real for sure. I mean, when we hit her with she's talking about there's no men in the home. I said, well, every woman has a dad, and the reason why there's no man in the home is because the women decide. And I thought she handled that. She handled that very well. I was surprised because she didn't jump off defensive.
Oh, she was getting stabbed. That's why she said it was hurting.
And I think that's what we
it's
see.
All good. It's honesty. You know what I'm saying? She was getting stabbed.
And I think the thing is, when I talked to her, because I've been knowing her for a while, but when I talked to her, I said, that was the thing. And she was even saying it, that a lot of women get defensive. You can't have a conversation because it becomes an argument. If you try to point something out and say, hey, what about this? And it's like, well, why do you think that? Why do you think that? And so what happens is guys just learn to shut up. We don't even say it. We don't say it. Ozzy hit something on the nail on the head. She agreed with a lot of what you guys said. I hope Zed, Maya, Chris, and the rest of you listen to what she said.
Hey, Ozzy, that's a high sentiment. It will never be acknowledged by them specifically. They will refuse to acknowledge it.
Yep. And the fact that she was open to listen, but didn't necessarily need to agree with everything. We had some pushback. And I think that's where some great conversation goes. I'm gonna bring up Darnell. Darnell, how you doing, brother? We wishing Ronin a happy birthday. Everybody wish Ronin a happy birthday.
By the way, let me. I ran a couple polls while we were having this conversation. The first poll I ran, it said, "Have you ever taken therapy for yourself?" Out of the people that answered, 58 of them said yes. 41% had said no. The current, yeah, it's actually pretty good. I'm actually proud of you guys to be above 50%. And then right now, I had a poll up that I'm about to end and run another poll. That poll was like, do you think women deserve half of your resources? And of course, the answer on that one was 33% said yes, and 67% said hell no.
I think it matters. All right, if I'm 18, all right, let's say I'm 18 and I start dating and I date a woman. We go through college together. We build something together. Like I have a niece that done that. They met in college. As soon as they graduated, they got married and say they stayed together for 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah. Well, I guess if she was a housewife and she didn't work, I'd say she deserves something. But they both work, so maybe it's a little different. But if she was instrumental in staying at home, raising your children, and then you leave, yes, because she allowed you the opportunity to go out there and build. She stayed with your children and reared you. So that, yes, but it's when they just come in and say, I'm getting half. I ain't did nothing for you. I even worked and I'm still one half your retirement. That's when I think becomes an issue.
So right now we do have an open panel. The link is tagged to the top of my chat. I don't know if Fearless has done that for his own, but click on the link and come on up and let us hear how you guys felt about the conversation. And from hearing some of what the therapist has said, and obviously you're going to hear from Todd next week as well as right now, would you start looking into seeking therapy for yourself?
And also tell me, is this something you guys are interested in as an ongoing panel discussion? To have someone come up that, you know, can talk. Then we got some grown folk conversation, as they say. And y'all make sure y'all give Ronin some money now. You know, he need that. He need a birthday gift, you know. He might have to go over there and get him a new bottle, you know.
Hey, you got 2 months before you need them bottles and those Pampers.
Oh, that's right.
You expecting?
Yeah, in December he is.
I mean, personally, I'm not, but the significant other is, yes. He is expecting.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it, my brother.
Do we know what the gender is? Do we know what you're having?
Yeah, and I forgot who put that in the chat. Oh, maybe that was you that put that in the chat, man.
Player's curse.
Yeah, the player's curse, man. You messing me up with that.
That's a blessing, though, bro. Congratulations.
So it's gonna be a little girl. So hopefully, hopefully things turn out right. You know, that I'm not getting paid back for somebody I did wrong way back.
Ooh, wait until she gets older enough to date. That's when the curse really comes in. Everybody that looked and sound like you did back in the day gonna be knocking on your door, bruh.
Well, that's why he's in the gym, man. You know, he's training like it's a championship fight.
So you right.
Yeah, that's all right.
So I do understand that one thing she, you know, said, and I'm very interested in hearing another time in the future is the other races, how they deal with therapy. Because I mean, I've been in a stereotype. You know, I've lived where there was a big Indian population, and it didn't seem, you know, it was always like they were helping each other. They were always around each other. They were striving. They were being successful. And so it's like, well, why did they need therapy? You know, like I would never expect like some Asians to be in therapy. Like, why? So I think we have these stereotypes that we take into it, that those people may not need help when we all need help. Like, I've never seen a therapist. You know, I've always been like, I've grown up thinking I can solve my own problems. You know, if I can't solve it, then it's not a problem. It's my problem, and I must be weak because I can't solve it.
Well, here's the thing. Your therapist doesn't solve the problem for you. You still have to do the work for yourself. Correct. But what I found they do is they ask questions a different way to have you have a different perspective. And so, you know, sometimes you have to have that person that has that 1,000-foot view to kind of be able to give you a different perspective. And so, hey, you know what? You know, I never thought of it that way, right? And that's what has been helpful for me. You know, because at the end of the day, like you said, you know, we're uber alpha men here. We want to solve our own issues, and we don't need somebody else, especially another man, to tell us what we need to do in our household. But when we're talking to someone that is helping us or counseling us or coaching us, you've had a coach. I mean, you played sports, so you had a coach. What's the difference between a coach and a therapist? It's the same thing.
Right. Absolutely. By the way, shout out to Darnell for the $20 Cash App. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much. And
hey,
also
no
my
problem.
brother Fearless for the $5 Cash App. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Buy you a shot, my brother. You know, we're gonna get you all weekend.
I got a whole bottle in there. I appreciate that. It just replaces when I drink out of it. You know what I'm saying?
What's the drink of the night, Fearless? What you got going on over there?
I am doing Crown Royale.
I'm out of my crown. I'm back to the Henny Blanco.
I can't do that. So I've been out of the country and I buy it, and I have about 4 bottles, and I don't. I'm usually that Jack person, so the gentleman Jack.
Yeah, I like Jack and Cokes and Bacardi, but you know, Henny is what I got in there if I don't want to do the gin and juice thing, which I usually say that for that significant other chick that, you know, you bring in here. And I'm an old school dude. You know what they said when they say gin and juice? That's, bruh, I'm trying to tell you, you want to knock some wood out? Drink some gin and juice and see if you don't go to town that night.
I saved my bourbon for the weekend when I happen to light up a cigar. So that's when I do my bourbon, man.
Okay.
I think this was a great conversation, guys. I'm not going to keep you. I know we're at about 2 hours. Todd will be on next week. We'll be talking about therapy also from a man's perspective. So Todd, get ready. We're going to throw some punches at you. You're going to get some hard questions because we're going to see it from a different perspective. Maybe it's all the guy's faults and things, you know?
No, never that.
Why aren't we? I think your thing is, why aren't we happy? You got
Right.
money, hoes, and clothes, and that's all a brother knows. And you know all that, and you still sad. I want to know why that is. I have it all, and I'm still not happy. So what is going to make us happy? Or do we need all that? Why is it that when I went over to Jamaica, I see a brother who doesn't have anything, and he got the biggest smile on his face, walking next to a guy who has a whole lot of money looking sad.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. I greatly appreciate everyone joining the show. We will tune in tomorrow for the Lions Den, next week for the other channels. And make sure you guys subscribe. Leave us a comment. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure you comment. Hit that like button because we want other people to get it. You know?
And give us some future topics to talk about, especially on Therapy Thursdays. If you guys are liking this series, I put it as episode 1, the inaugural episode, but we definitely are looking forward to talking about this because we got too many brothers out there that feel helpless at the end of the day. And some of them are not only dying, but they're self-deleting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give a shout out to lead attorney and blessings to him and prayers.
Yes.
So just wanted to identify him to give him his deference and the lead attorney and say, you know, best wishes for him.
Mm-hmm. And that's somebody like that would need some therapy, man. That's going through something hard, something difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do it alone. And sometimes you have to reach out to people who have been through that before you, who have survived after you. And so you might, you know, facing, and, you know, hopefully, and I know he's going to get better, but facing your immortality.
Oh, yeah.
Difficult. Very difficult. So we're going to pray for him. Good shout out, Todd. We're going to pray for him on that.
Yes, sir.
With that said, we will bid you a great good night, a great adieu, and make sure, get this check, baby. If you can get this check, it's only one finger away. Get this check. Y'all like that, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, everyone. As I say to everyone, stay fearless in everything you do until we meet again.